This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by the Next 1000 Pledge at pledgebank.com/next1000.
Dave Ridley here, signing in for RidleyReport.com. Just obtained an interview on tape with permission, interview of the superintendent who was holding Russell Canning, the jail superintendent holding New Hampshire liberty activist Russell Canning of New Hampshire, which I guess most New Hampshire liberty activists are. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and post an excerpt of the interview, and then I'm going to post the entire interview illustrated later today if all goes as planned. So what you'll hear next is an excerpt from an interview with Richard Van Wickler, who is superintendent of Cheshire County Jails in Keene, New Hampshire area. Actually, the jail itself is located in Westmoreland. By way of background, I'd like to point out that Superintendent Van Wickler is a member of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. So he's been on the record, at least for a while, as being uncomfortable with housing certain types of non-threatening, non-harmful inmates. And so the question you're about to hear me ask him is, I'm just asking him, well, if that applies with drug offenses, how about Russell, who is apparently being charged with non-payment of child support for possibly sketchy reasons.
But now, how does this maybe, do you also feel uncomfortable with having prisoners like Russell in your jail?
Well, I think they fall into the same category. One of my issues with respect to being a LEAP member and a speaker is that I've come to realize after doing a lot of reading and research and talking to people associated with law enforcement against prohibition, that the war on drugs is a usually expensive, failed policy here. And as a person who is concerned about what seems to be disparity in treatment in terms of sentences between different races of offenders throughout this country, so the statistics are significant with respect to the war on drugs as a failed policy, and we need to do something different. In a case where somebody is not paying child support, I can tell you from personal experience, I have a daughter and a granddaughter who are not receiving the support that they ought to be receiving, and that's a terrible thing because it's a horrible struggle for any person, whether it's a man or a woman who has custody of a child, to try and raise that child adequately on a very limited income. Should we put the other person in jail for that? I don't necessarily agree with doing that any more than I agree with putting a person in jail for choosing to smoke marijuana to alter their consciousness.
By the way, right now it's noon on March 18th. This interview occurred at 11:30 a.m. March 18th, 2008.
Why is it that hundreds of liberty lovers have moved and continue to move to New Hampshire? In part, it's because of the Free State Project's first 1,000 pledge. The success of that pledge gave this man an idea. Max Abramson of New Hampshire is starting what he calls the Next 1000 Pledge, designed to get another 1,000 Free Staters into New Hampshire by 2011. To find out more, visit pledgebank.com/next1000.